Uniting communities throughout the sticks. This is Urban Definition with your hosts Sassan, Kareem, and Zayn on CHHA 1610.
What is going on, Sweet World? Today is Wednesday, June 7th, and you are tuned in to a new episode of Urban Definition. As per usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Zayn Jinnah.
Hey, everyone.
And Mr. Sassan Mirzai.
Hey, guys.
I think that is a good point to turn down the music. How's your week been, guys? What's going on?
I'm so happy today's finally sunny after weeks of clouds and rain and like in and out sun.
It's ironic because for the last, I guess, two and a half, 3 days, my work counterpart, has been complaining about the weather. And actually, it was yesterday. She basically said, I really hope the rest of the year doesn't turn out like this because I already had to deal with like a cold, bitter winter, and I don't want to have to deal with a ridiculous summer. I want a summer.
Well, I don't know if we're going to get that great of a summer. I mean, the trend that it's been over the last few years.
Dude, have you not been paying attention to the weather? Today she got her wish, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, we're hitting the 30s.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. But what I'm saying is, like, that's now, and then we're in June.
Yeah, you know what?
Imagine July and August and September.
I feel like it's going to become one of the hottest summers for like years because I believe on Tuesday they said the heat index is supposed to go up to about 37 degrees Celsius.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to get worse.
It's going to be bad, like bad, boy.
And that's the trend every summer. Every summer has been the hottest summer because of climate change.
It has been getting absolutely worse.
And with Donald Trump pulling out of the Paris Agreement, it's probably going to get worse.
And I don't know if you guys heard this from that show I had with my friend, but I was talking about how when I went to my cottage, all the lakes were iced. And, like, the sandbanks were completely gone. Apparently, this summer is going to be the worst mosquito infestation we're going to have in, like, the GTA history.
Yeah, so
Dude,
right now...
even the Toronto Islands, they're shut down until the end of July.
Yeah, something like that.
It's underwater right now.
But talking about cottage country for a second, cottage is so bad right now that right now, in order to mow the lawn outside of the cottage where we are at, South Morrison Lake, so that's, like, just a little bit north of Muskoka region... you have to wear a bug suit during the day.
Oh my god,
that's so bad.
Like a full-on bug suit, which means that the bugs are really bad during the day, but then it calms down at night.
That's
so bad
when I come here.
Talking about the water rising, there's a lot of reasons that the water is rising right now, especially in cottage country, which we're not going to get into today because that is like a really long, full-fledged conversation. But the water levels are coming back down, and it's getting a little bit better.
Thank goodness.
And talking about that, since we've already started about news, what's going on in the world?
This first piece of news is pretty horrific, actually, if I might start. The Islamic State claimed their first attacks in Iran, targeting Iran parliament and Ayatollah Khomeini's mausoleum earlier this morning, killing a total of 12 people. The gunmen who initiated these attacks entered the buildings dressed as women. The total number of deaths is not confirmed to include the attackers as well. Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guards have accused Saudi Arabia and the United States of being behind the attacks. Now, despite that, the U.S. State Department condemned the attack, saying the depravity of terrorism has no place in a peaceful, civilized world. In a statement, the IS, or ISIS, whatever you want to call them, warned of further attacks against Iran's Shia Muslim majority.
I'm going to go a little bit lighter, and I'm going to start with Air Canada to shoot down Aeroplan with its own loyalty rewards program, and if you were smart enough to hear it in there, that pun was intended. This may not be breaking news, but Air Canada recently announced it will launch its own loyalty program to start in 2020 and not renew its contract with the company running Aeroplan, sending Amaya's stock plummeting by about 50% and angering many point collectors. The Montreal-based airline says customers will be able to continue collecting Aeroplan points until June 2020, after which miles earned from flying on Air Canada or its 26 Star Alliance partners will be credited to the in-house loyalty program instead. Travelers will be able to redeem these points for Air Canada and Star Alliance flights. The airline said it intends to continue allowing Aeroplan members to redeem their Aero points for seats on their flights after June 2020. However, the CEO said that it's still kind of uncertain right now, as there's still a lot of discussions to be had.
Fossils of 5 early humans were discovered in North Africa. These fossils provide some evidence that Homo sapiens, humans, emerged 100,000 years earlier than what is widely believed and known. It also suggests that humans evolved across the continent of Africa, not just in one cradle as previously believed. The fossils were taken from Morocco at a site called Jebel Irhoud. The earliest site prior to this discovery was located in Ethiopia, which is in East Africa. Professor Jean-Jacques Hublin of the Max Pollnack Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, says that this would, quote, rewrite the textbooks, unquote, about our emergence as a species.
I love the need to say unquote. But anyways, was it a fluke that Canada dodged the global cyber attacks in May? Canada's not immune to online extortion, despite apparently sidestepping the massive attack that temporarily crippled networks around the world back in May. Adi Masathan, a professor at Ryerson University's School of Information Technology Management, said it was nothing more than a fluke that Canada appears to have largely spared from last month's ransomware attack that disrupted services in Russia, the UK, Ukraine, Spain, and India. Attacks like this one, dubbed WannaCry for the WannaCrypt technology used to execute it, happen when a type of software seizes control of a computer, encrypting its content and rendering them inaccessible. The vehicle that the malware used was spam. The most common way that they do this is sending it via email. It looks as if it's from someone in your contacts. You click on it and boom, the actual malware, the file is downloaded. The perpetrators then demand hundreds of thousands of dollars to unlock the victim's computers, essentially holding the document, photos, and other items on the computer for ransom. This one wasn't really an attack at all, Professor Mash 10 said. They usually run this campaign and hope to infect as many computers as possible. This time around, we were lucky. There's so many people who are emailing one another within the UK, whereas the traffic between the UK and Canada is not as much. But if the wrong person had clicked on an infected link, they could have spread the ransomware to Canada.
Here's some news that's not really news, but something just nice to make note of. Justin Trudeau and Barack Obama have reignited their bromance after having dinner in Montreal last night. The two leaders, former president and prime minister of Canada, were seen dining at the Liverpool House in Montreal's Little Burgundy neighborhood. The owner, David McMillan, said that the prime minister has dined there before and had a reservation, but he was also surprised by Obama's appearance. A lot of people flocked to the restaurant to see a glimpse of the two, and it was just a really nice sight to see.
Don't be carding me like that. An Ontario judge who recently led a review into police oversight will look into whether the practice of police street checks, known as carding, is consistent with the provincial government's goal of eliminating systemic racism. The Liberal government has appointed Appeal Court Justice Michael Touleau to conduct a review on how a new street check regulation has been implemented. Ontario introduced carding rules last year, outlining that police must inform people that they have to provide identifying information during the street checks, and that refusing to cooperate or walking away cannot then be used as reasons to compel information. The aim was to end arbitrary stops, especially those based on race, although anti-carding advocates have called for the practice to be abolished entirely. Race is prohibited as forming any part of a police officer's reason for attempting to collect someone's identifying information. Street checks started coming under intense scrutiny several years ago amid data showing officers were disproportionately stopping black or other racialized people. Police argued they simply go where the crime is, and that the stopping people obscenity at random, asking for identification, and recording the information is useful. Under the new regulations, officers must offer a written record of any interactions with the public, including their name and badge number, along with information on how to contact the Independent Police Review Director. Michael Touleau will report by January 1st, 2019, on whether the continued use of carding reflects the government plan to eliminate systemic racism. I don't know about you, but that is a really, really long timeline to distinguish whether or not an act that is really and truly perpetuating systemic racism is doing just that.
Here's something that's just happening right now, just for everyone's information. King Street East is currently closed between Yonge and Victoria Street, as there are reports that glass has fallen from a building while under construction in downtown Toronto. So if you're along those streets somehow, some way, just make note of that for traffic and for your own safety.
This story is brought to you by a friend of mine who basically told me, yo, how you gonna miss me like that? A story we were unable to report on last week. Google's Android Pay, a mobile wallet that allows people to pay with their smartphone, became available for Canadians to download last week, Wednesday. Yes, shameful booze for missing this one. Users can pay with the mobile app in stores that accept contactless payment and on apps such as Uber and Lululemon and have an Android Pay button. Android Pay will work with Visa and MasterCard credit cards from Banks of Montreal, CIBC, Scotiabank, National Bank, Desjardins, President's Choice Financial, ATB Financial, and Canadian Tire Financial Services. On Monday this week, Google began rolling out support for Interac cards from those banks. Missing from the list of partners are TD Bank and Royal Bank, which both offer in-house digital wallets that are compatible with some Android devices.
There was a smear of a mix of peanut butter and cooking oil across the building, the Senator O'Connor College School near Lawrence and Victoria Park. According to the the Toronto Catholic District School, so the TCDSB, it appears that a student or students were in the school earlier today and proceeded to smear the mixture throughout a large portion of the school, which includes the floors, the stairs, doorknobs, and handles. The school is undergoing a massive cleanup right now, and students were sent home that were attending classes in the affected areas of it.
I guess my last story of the night. Provinces struggle to work out details of cannabis legislation. Provinces have been protecting the large volume of work and heavy costs they say the Trudeau government has piled on them since the rush of legalized recreational cannabis across Canada by next year. So far, however, the small province of New Brunswick has been taking the high road. Unlike other members of the Federation, New Brunswick isn't pressing for federal compensation to cover the bills of pot legislation, nor is it in a particular scramble to draw up the plans. Provinces have been busy since the federal government tabled legislation to legalize and regulate recreational marijuana use, with a primary aim of keeping weed out of the hands of youth and criminals. Ottawa hopes to make it happen by July 2018. I guess to wrap up tonight's news, Zayn, do you think that's actually realistic?
I don't know, man. I was reading a report about let's get pot decriminalized until then. I don't know. I'm still not sure where I sit on the pot thing anyway.
Reading this article, I'm not sure if you really kind of heard what I was saying there, but do you think that provinces should be looking for federal funding to cover some of these costs that are associated with legalizing cannabis?
Provinces? Yeah. I mean, if they're going to legalize it throughout the country, it would make sense that there is federal regulation and funding for that matter too, because you're allowing everyone to do it.
But I don't know if I entirely agree with the whole concept that technically my taxpayer dollars should go towards the cost of legalizing something that I really will never interact with.
That's fair. You could say the same thing about allocating money to other cities' public transportation.
That's true. On a side note, before we go to break, did you hear about the funding of the security stuff?
I heard a little bit about it, but not enough to go in depth.
I'll talk about it later on in the last chunk of the show, but we'll be back, guys. We need to take a commercial break. You're turning to
Urban Definition on CHHA 1610. This is Urban Definition.
Welcome back to Urban Definition. Before we start our Tech Talk segment, I wanted to say, I'm calling out your friend. We've already talked about Android Pay on this show.
Did we?
Yeah, at least like months ago.
No, but we didn't talk about it being implemented last week.
Well, it's not like it's everywhere yet.
Well, it just got rolled out across Canada.
It'd have to be at like every pay station. And
No, we're not talking about the actual ability to use it. It's that the app has now come out.
Oh, the app come? Okay.
The app was released last week and we didn't cover it.
I guess.
I'm calling you back out, Sassan. Mr. Tech Guy. Mr. Oh, I turned the thing on.
Tech Talk.
That's right. Shots fired.
I miss this.
God.
But okay, if you guys are gamers out there, you probably know that yesterday morning was actually a huge Nintendo Direct because they were going to do a full-on direct on Pokemon, and everyone was like, oh my god, finally, an announcement for the Switch. We're finally going to get our first Pokemon game on a TV console, on a home console instead of a portable. But no, this 8-minute long direct basically said, hey, we're porting Pokken Tournament from the Wii U onto the Switch, and then it said, that's it. We're done, but here's a teaser for the new Pokemon games, and it had Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon coming out for the 3DS, along with Virtual Console releasing Pokemon Gold and Silver again, so you're able to play those again, and you won't be able to play them on the Switch until Virtual Console is released on the Switch. So I thought this was a huge downside, and now I have no reason to buy a Switch this year, because honestly, there's not enough games, and Pokemon was the real reason I wanted to move on to it. Next,
Can I mention one really quick thing?
Yes.
For Pokemon?
Yeah.
Didn't they just come out with, like, Pokemon Sun and Moon Ultra Packs or something?
What do you mean Ultra Packs?
So for the cards. They just came out, like, as of, like, yesterday or something. They came out with Pokemon Sun and Moon Ultra Packs, which are exactly the same Pokemon, except now the two, whatever they are, not Mega Evolutions, but the two legendary Pokemon, now have, like, Ultra forms.
Oh, no, that's not what it is. It's a whole new game. It's called Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun.
Oh, it is 2 games?
Yeah, those are 2 new games coming out this November.
Oh, no.
No, it's basically what they always do. Like, for Gold and Silver, you had Pokemon Crystal, and it was a whole new take on the adventure. Or for Black and White, you had Black 2 and White 2. Or for, what other games did they have that for? Red, Blue, and Green, I guess?
Yeah,
But
well, it
Green
was
never
like
came out.
red, blue, and then they had green.
Green was Japan only.
No, they had silver and gold.
Yellow, sorry. Yellow was the red and blue version of, like, the following one.
Yeah, I guess. Wait, but then, yeah, that's fine.
Gold and Silver was a completely different
Yeah,
storyline.
you're right.
Yeah. So that's basically what Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun are, for those of you who are like, why are they making the same game again? They're not. It's a new story. But anyways, moving on. So last week, or I think 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure. I think it was last week, I was talking about how AMD was releasing a new processor that can basically do everything. And now Intel is like, okay, well, we're just going to one-up you because we're Intel and we're better. So now if you go to a computer store and you're like, I want to get the best computer, I'm going to walk in and say, hey, I'm going to get an i7 because I think I know about tech and i7 sounds cool and it's like the best thing out there. i7 is no longer the best processor you can get. Now they're releasing the Intel i9 chip, and this is honestly the scariest chip I have ever seen, because to understand what this chip is able to do, imagine playing a 4K game. So this game, you already need a 1080 graphics card to play. So you're playing that, that's already causing your computer so much stress because it's like 4K, it's 4 times HD. And then imagine being able to live stream this game, so you're basically playing the game, as well as recording the screen, as well as taking that recording, sending it online for others to see, and now imagine being able to do those 2 processes another 2 times with 1 processor.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's how powerful this i9 chip is. And
I don't think anyone realizes the excitement on Sassan's face when he says this.
because
His
it's
hand motions, like, it's crazy.
My only drawback is the affordability of that.
it's $2,000, but honestly, every computer chip is like crazy expensive. An i7 before was like $500, like for the best one, but there was always like the editor version of the chip, which is always like $1,000. So that's basically what this is. And for it to be able to do this kind of stuff, imagine its rendering capabilities. So that's already through the roof. I can't even explain it, because if I was going to explain it in like technical terms, it has the processing power of a teraflop. And if you don't know what a flop is a floating point. A floating point operation per second. And a floating point operation per second is basically, imagine having 2 numbers, and then that operation is being like a mathematical procedure is being done between those 2 numbers. And now imagine that, so those 2 numbers, that equation, done 1 trillion times a second. That's
Holy.
how fast your computer is processing. So it's a crazy calculator. But yeah, that's the i9 chip. That was I was really excited for that, but I'm probably not going to buy it. i7's good enough for me. The next thing I want to talk about is Amazon patenting parachutes inside your parcels dropping from a drone. And I thought this was hilarious, because when I saw the image, it was basically a tube, and then there were 2 parachutes coming out the side of the tube. So I'm just imagining, like, once the Amazon drone thing once it comes to Canada, I'm just gonna imagine like I press order like on something stupid like a USB stick, and like 15 minutes later I'm gonna see a drone come by and just like drop it from the sky, 2 parachutes unleash, and then just like land on my doorstep. I thought that'd be hilarious, but I don't know. You guys don't seem too fond of that. So I'll move on to something that's really exciting for anyone who has a camera at home, which is basically camera technology moving on from analog to basically the digital age. So for those of you who know, back then a camera used to use film, and the way that it would capture the picture would be that the film is stretched out at the back of the camera, so it's a straight, perfect like rectangle, and then the shutter would open up, light would hit the film, and then it'll close, and then you'd have the picture on that film. So basically, it was always a perfect rectangle. And the way we moved on from that age to the digital age was that we made a digital sensor, and that digital sensor was also a rectangle. So we were basically like, it worked before, it's going to work now, let's just continue this technology. But now a team at Microsoft's research team, that was redundant, I said team twice, they said, hey, why not just make the sensor curved? And that basically blew everyone's mind, because if you have a curved sensor, not only does that make the quality of the picture better because now it can capture more light, but that basically fixes the lens issue, which is when a lens is created, it basically takes a distorted image and then it flattens it out so it'll fit on that sensor at the back of the camera. So now lens creators don't have to do that anymore. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, just imagine like taking your kit lens, your regular DSLR camera, going outside and taking a landscape photo. When you do that, you can't do that because it's supposed to be for portraits. So your landscape picture, all the buildings will be curved in the background, and you'll be like, oh, this isn't what real life looks like. So now you won't have this issue because your sensor is curved, and it's honestly just going to make everything cheaper. Lenses are going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be easier to make. Lenses will be smaller. Cameras will be smaller. And everything will be affordable. It's just a great way to live life.
I love your enthusiasm so much.
Yeah, that's it for Tech Talk.
Sweet. I guess we have 3 minutes. I don't know how much I'll be able to cover, but I did have the whole Apple developer conference from this past Monday that I kind of wanted to touch on super quick. And I know you're the tech guy, but I just really wanted, just because I probably won't be able to get to all of it, but I'll do what I can.
Go through your favorite parts.
All right. So Apple nodded to several up-and-coming technology trends, unveiling a new smart home speaker and device featuring touches on virtual reality, online privacy, and a form of artificial intelligence called machine learning. We'll start off with the HomePod because that's basically been the first new product that Apple has released since 2014. It's similar to its device rivals, so Amazon and Google Home. Like the Amazon Echo and Google Home, the HomePod will play music while also helping people to manage their lives and homes. Siri will be voice activated to respond to requests for information and other help around the house. What else did I have here? It's the first new device, as I said, since September 2014 when Apple introduced the Google Watch.
Apple introduced the Google Watch?
Sorry, did I say Google Watch? I meant to say Apple Watch.
No, it's okay. I'm just giving you...
I know. It was the Apple Watch in September 2014. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, from a business standpoint, with this whole home speaker crap that Apple is releasing, they can't afford to yield valuable real estate in the heart of people's homes to Amazon and Google and others. That's especially important because people are starting to access information, entertainment, and search in a more pervasive way than less dependent on smartphones. The speaker will sell for about $350 USD in the US, UK, and Australia come Christmas time this year. The Amazon Echo sells the main version of the Echo for $180, and Google's home speaker goes for $130. So you do the math. This thing better be amazing to be selling it for almost double what everybody else is selling their speakers for.
Well, Apple's a premium service. That's basically what they're doing.
That's true, but at the same time, the features might not necessarily warrant.
A premium service. It's like having Starbucks versus Timmy's.
I know. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. They did touch on a new iMac. The new iMac is getting better displays and graphic capabilities. Apple said the makers The Mac are a great platform for development of virtual reality experiences. So the whole reason that they're up in their graphics is just to be able to have developers be able to do that. The whole concept with that, though, is that Google and Samsung already have VR systems centered on their smartphones. Facebook, HTC, and Sony have high-end VR systems, too. Virtual reality has been described as the next big thing for decades, but so far interest has been strongest amongst gamers, developers, and hardware makers rather than everyday users. So I think that's what Apple is trying to tap into.
Yeah, look at the PlayStation one. That just sold 1 million units.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff.
Absolutely. I'm trying to go through this as fast as I can, but unfortunately, there's way too much. I'll post stuff online for you guys. I'll have to blog. I'll have to write stuff this time around. But we'll be back, guys. It's time to take a commercial break. Stay tuned. You're listening to Urban Definition. We love y'all.
Urban Definition. On CHHA 1610. This is Urban Definition.
Welcome back, everybody. So for those of you who have tuned in in the past, and for those of you who are now tuning in for the first time, this is a part of the show that we like to call Real Talk. And it's really bizarre because I feel like the last few weeks our show has been very unorthodox in the way that we've programmed, scheduled, and structured our shows. While we've always ensured to cover, our normal blocks, whether it be tech news, normal news, or Real Talk, we always, for the last few weeks, have been shifting it around, eh?
We really have, honestly. It's been like this since we started.
With that being said, tonight's Real Talk topic is going to be, and I actually had to change the name of the topic so that I didn't offend Sassan, because Sassan was like, no, it's not just millennials.
No, you weren't supposed to change it, so then I'd take a different side.
No. Well, the name of the topic is.
Yeah, but then...
I just changed the name of the
go
topic.
ahead.
See, he's already getting all riled up.
I was thinking just that.
And that is this: the age of entitlement when voicing your opinion. It has been said, and when you look at our social settings these day and age, a lot of people feel like they are now entitled to voice their opinion when they know nothing or have no relationship to the to the topic. It can also be said that the rise of this mentality can be credited to millennials. Zane's nodding his head.
I'm with you.
All right. So the very first question is, and this is where Sassan's just going to jump on the mic and just go absolutely bananas, is that statement true?
No, it's not. It's not just millennials. It's just it's the rise in tech. I have been telling you this for so long. It's because you have a platform to express yourself, and now that there's so many platforms out there, everyone wants to talk about everything. So you have Yelp, so you're like, oh, now I'm a food critic. Or you have that director thing where you can criticize movies. I forgot what it's called. Rotten Tomatoes. What's one of them? You have Facebook to just be like, oh, I hate these kinds of people, and then everyone jumps on the gun. And it's honestly just the tech world allowing you to be behind a computer, being fully defensive because no one's going to hit you, or no one's actually going to shout at you. You can just be a troll all you want.
See, my whole thing with what you're saying is that, yeah, sure, you're focusing on tech, but the reality is that most of these people that I hear going on and on about certain topics are advocating for things that they know nothing about, or trying to combat things, or trying to argue things that they really have no clue about, is actually in the real world. I'm talking about, when you go downtown Toronto, and for example, Zayn and I are on the subway, and we're talking about, I don't know, what's something that we talk about that we've had people interject into our conversations about in the past?
I don't even know off the top of my head.
We had this one time we were having a conversation. This little girl comes out of nowhere and she chimed in. And
it's happened before.
I always make this comment to Zayn, and I'm just I'm not trying to be racist here, but I'm why do white people feel like they can do this?
It's definitely happened before.
And the bizarre thing is that from an international standpoint, and when I say that, I'm clearly talking about where I come from, and that's Trinidad and Tobago. Millennials are commonly associated with being young, hipster, white folks.
See, I think it's a take of both of what you guys are saying. Because with the rise in tech, you're right. Sass, you're right. People do have more access to voice their concerns. Mm-hmm. But with what Kareem is saying is that who's utilizing it more? Is it people of older generations, or is it people within our generation?
Well, no, that's not exactly what I'm saying either. Well, the question was, do you guys credit... Fine, if Sassan doesn't want to go with the millennials, we can say the younger people. Is it fair to say that the rise of this mentality can be credited to the younger generations? Not that they're the only ones who are doing it, but all I said was the rise. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I talk to, my parents or my parents' friends, they care, and this might just be, a cultural thing, given the fact that they're not, all Canadian born and raised, but they have the mentality that, if you have an opinion about something, it's better to keep it to yourself than, say anything at all. Do you remember hearing that as a child?
That's pretty much how we were
Whereas
raised.
now we're basically telling and teaching our kids that if you have something to say it, because you are entitled to being able to say whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want.
That's because times have changed. Wait, Zayn wants to say something first? Okay.
No, go ahead. Go on.
Okay.
What you're saying.
So basically, now that we're in the modern age, everything has changed. We have to reach a daily quota in everything we do. On Snapchat, you have to do a snap every single day to maintain your streak. On Twitter, if you don't tweet every day, even though you have nothing to say, no one's going to follow you.
But again, Sassan, you're fixated on tech and media. What I'm talking about are people who don't necessarily have anything to do with me. My 6-year-old little sister has nothing to do with... She doesn't have a Snapchat quota per day.
No.
And she's...
Think of it this way. Think of it as tech, but moved into normal world. So just the normal
But why
world.
are we fixated on tech?
Hold on. So let's say you were like a Twitter person who did that, maintaining that one thing in a day to maintain your audience. There's also people at work who do the water cooler thing. So you're like, oh, here comes Jim. Jim is going to tell us a new story today. Oh, we're all fascinated. Now Jim has to come every single day with a new story because that's his quota thing.
Not at all. Completely different, but
I think
Sassan's
the reason
approaching this from a completely different context.
I think the reason Sass is saying tech is because you're saying it's attributed to age. He's saying it's got nothing to do with age. It's got to do with
but the
something
example
else.
that he just gave had nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I was talking about different platforms.
He's talking about a guy. Let me use your water cooler little jumble there.
Okay.
He's talking about a guy who feels the need to have to go and start a conversation about different topics every day.
Isn't that exactly what it is?
Well, yes and no. What he's talking about is people who just feel the need to bring up certain topics just so they have conversation fillers.
But that's how it works.
What I'm talking about is people feeling the need to jump in on conversations, jump in on things and concepts and ideas that they know nothing about.
So it's not Jim at the water cooler, it's people listening to Jim.
It's not Jim
saying,
at the water cooler,
what
yeah.
about this?
It's not Jim at the water cooler, it's Sally at the water cooler who overhears Jim, knows nothing about, for example, the new law that was passed in Canada that empowers the social services to take a child away from the home when a parent does not agree with the child's binary affiliation. So, for example, if a child now was born, a man and has male genitalia, but then the child says, no, I am a female, and the parent says, no, you're a man, I'm going to whoop your butt until you agree that you're a man, Child Services now has the right to step in and take that child out of the house. So, let's say, what's your guy's name at the water cooler again?
Jim.
Sorry? Jim Boy at the water cooler is talking about this. Sally, who has no clue about this topic, has no affiliation with this topic, has no anything, but feels the need that because this is a conversation, just because it's a conversation, she is now entitled to the right to chime in and say whatever she wants, however she wants, possibly in the most uneducated way possible.
So what I think you did stumble upon earlier might actually be it. It's cultural. Because, and I say that because, as you said, growing up, our parents never did that. And they told us not to do that. If you have an opinion or not something that's not nice, you keep it to yourself. We've grown in a culture that encourages it. We've grown in a culture that tells us, go ahead, give us your 2 cents. And as Sassan said, it's the tech that gives you more accessibility. It's not the tech. So I see what you're saying there. It's not the tech that makes you do so. It's the tech that allows you to do so, but it doesn't force you to. It's the culture that pushes you towards it.
But I feel
And
like
where that culture goes to, and now I see what Kareem's point is that culture is being driven by who, by what age group? More so, our age group. Specifically,
Don't group me in with that.
people.
You're a
Don't group me in with
millennial.
that. Don't group me in with that.
No, you are part of our age group, but people who have that mentality.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't necessarily come down to. It's not the tech that is creating this mentality. It's the individuals who are using that tech to
Yeah.
create this mentality.
Exactly.
So for that reason, I can't accredit this social phenomenon to technology. I have to hold individuals accountable because at the end of the day, I can't say Twitter told me this. I have to say, at Sassan said this.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's pretty much It kind of it's a snowball effect. One person starts with it, and then it kind of gives others a permission to continue having that conversation. So, and once they've done that and they don't see a consequence with it, they'll continue to go. And we've done that too on the show. I've done this on the show plenty of times. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I know that we've definitely called each other out on a lot throughout the last year because we've been on the air for quite some time now.
Year and a half.
Yeah, quite some time. But my question is in transitioning to kind of hopefully, turn this conversation full circle is, do you guys feel like the social trends, as in this context, will continue down this road? Do you think that, people are just going to get further and further into this dark hole of just, I can say whatever, whenever, however I want, because this is the world we live in. And let's be honest, we can go off on tangents about how Trump perpetuates this, how Canada as a first world country perpetuates this, how, XYZ, da-da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, based on all of that mumble jumble out there, do you think that the way that society is heading, we're just going to continue to dig ourselves deeper and deeper, or do you think that there might come a point where, we get back into a little bit more of this, if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all?
See, I feel like, Sass, do you want to take this one? Or I think about how I'm going to respond to this.
Okay, well, basically the way I handle it, whenever I have nothing to say at all, I still say something related to something I actually know to bring it.
And then I call you out on it, and then you go, I don't know.
No, but that's like how I do it. I have to have something that's actually true to talk about. I can't just make something up.
So what you're saying is you basically BS it by bringing up something
No, but it
sorta
would
close.
be
I do
related.
that for sure.
sort of related, but then
100%.
just so that you kind of have some input in there, you kind of you kind of take some facts and then you kind of dilute it a little bit.
No, but then it moves the conversation into another area.
Yeah, of people yelling at you, and more specifically me telling you don't understand what you're talking about.
Happens a lot.
Hashtag,
It's on YouTube.
Hashtag Tom Cruise films.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
And you guys will understand what I mean by that hashtag in the next block.
So, to answer your question, I think that it depends on where you are in the world. Because if we're going to say this is a cultural thing, in some places, they have restrictions on how much you're allowed to say.
And consume, actually. Like,
Exactly.
China has, media consumption
China,
restrictions.
North Korea,
Yeah.
a lot of, some Middle Eastern countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the whole Egyptian revolution a few years ago happened on Twitter, and that was because they're fighting for the right for expression, right? They gathered people on Twitter. So I think it really depends on where you are. I think there is a cultural shift to continue that, but and check this out, I think it might go so far as to you're allowed to, it'll hit a peak, but then get far into going back to, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it, because there are still consequences of what you say. For example, you can't get a job if you said something bad, and your social presence online reflects that. Whereas people who don't have that problem may be considered for employment, things like that. So being able to make a living based off of the words you say online.
But I feel that's very reliant on what you do for work.
That's true too, but at the same time, if everyone has the need to feel part of the conversation, they're going to do it, right?
But then do you feel that limitations need to be put on, don't chime in unless you can fulfill XYZ, with those XYZ being, some sort of relatability to what the topic at hand is. Do not comment unless you have something that you can relate to add to the conversation.
How can you prove that digitally?
Okay, digitally, we're talking. That's a whole other.
Because that's the thing, right? If you're going to comment online and someone accuses you of not knowing your stuff, how are you going to really prove that you do?
Google.
How much can you really Google about it, right?
That's true, but that's the whole thing is that
I mean, a lot of
it no longer becomes a constructive conversation. It just becomes I'm going to spit out, some facts at you, and then you're going to spit out some facts at me, and then we're never really going to get anywhere because at the end of the day, I know nothing about what I'm talking about.
It's like the LeBron versus Jordan comparisons.
Let's not get into that today.
That's my point, though, is like you can have these arguments all day, and we can come up with whatever. There are stats out there, but unless one of us really
I've said
takes
this
the
to
time...
you before, and apparently I'm going to say this again online. I really wish I could talk basketball with you.
I know. I
if
wish
you
I
knew basketball.
I wish I knew a little bit more.
That wraps up tonight's Real Talk, guys. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on social media. If you don't know the social media, Zayn will tell you after the break. Stay tuned, guys.
Definition on CHHA 1610. This is Urban Definition.
As we all look at each other trying to figure out who will come back from the commercial break, I guess I'll do it. Welcome back, guys. You're tuned in to another episode of Urban Definition. It's been a pretty intense show tonight. Not as intense as last week when Zayn and I went cutthroat against each other.
We got some good reviews, though.
We did. And I believe during the show today, Zayn was actually making that episode live because some people were claiming that it might not have been live. So hopefully Zayn did that.
I'm going to do that as soon as the show's done.
Zayn, you suck.
How much time is there really between commercial breaks?
You've had an hour to do it on your laptop.
During commercial breaks?
You could have done it during Tech Talk.
No, man, I was focused.
He was snapping me or something.
I think he was pushing you forward to talk on the mic a little bit louder or something.
A little bit further behind. I hope
my
this
bad.
was projected over.
Well, based on Zayn's conversation, Zayn, was there any news that we missed today?
Yes, there was. Here is what we missed today.
Don't be reading my Facebook messages.
That's exactly what I was going to do.
You're such a troll.
All right, you read your Facebook
I put them
messages.
there so that I could reference them later.
I don't have anything else.
Really?
Yeah.
How about, what's his name, Eric Trump going on Fox News last night? And Zayn can verify, this is not on my notes. Eric Trump going on the news last night and basically saying that morale has gone out the window with all the media criticizing my father.
I mean, it's U.S. news. I wasn't really looking at
No,
it.
but the irony in all of that is the fact that the whole Trump family has no morale.
Dude, I don't know, man. Trump said he'll date his daughter if she wasn't his daughter. So there's that
Another
alone,
example
and then
of morale.
grab him by the you know what. There's a lot of stuff that family has questionably done.
All right, we got some stuff to cover here. Liberals announced an increase in defense spending. We're looking at about $14 billion by 2027. The important point in all of this, though, is that funding won't be available to the Liberals until after next year's elections. Next thing is that, and this has been pretty big news throughout the day, FBI Director James Comey scheduled to testify tomorrow after being fired. In a release of his testimony, which was released today, it was written that Comey told Trump on 3 separate occasions that he was not being individually investigated in the whole Russia-U.S. relation during the elections. The downside is that Trump was upset that Comey refused to publicly state that in the news. Comey said, "I did it this way in the event that the situation or the statement that I gave him would change, and he needed to investigate Trump." Again, he claims to have explained all of this to Trump prior to being canned. So tomorrow, they're actually going to be live streaming this guy's testimony. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely going to be watching this.
That's good.
And I'm guessing I'm probably saying that because I work in news and on radio, so I guess it's important for me to stay up to date with the news, so that's why I do it.
It's important.
It is important.
It's very important.
Sassan, anything else to contribute to tonight's conversation?
Not really, no.
All right. Zayn, what's going on this weekend?
All right, so on Friday, you have the Barbecue Eats Festival from Friday to Sunday at Ontario Place. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. There will be a barbecue competition as well. It's from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So make sure you head down there and feast.
Cool. I have to start with this one. This is art at Buddy's in Bad Times Theater. Asian riffing trio present their much-anticipated full-length concert debut at Talua's Cabernet. Their set list ranges from Beyoncé to Natalie Imbruglia, plus a musical theater girl group medley. Performers Colin Atsuno, tenor, Kevin Wong, who is a baritone, and Chris Sujichi, who is a bass, will take you on a musical Cabernet ride full of Gaysian wonder, sassy choreography, and riffs. And yes, I did say Gaysian. That'll take place June 10th and 11th. Prices are $25 per ticket.
This Friday from 7:30 till 10:45 is Fast and the Six at Nathan Phillips Square. And it's going to be, well, the motto is diversity, unity, and prosperity. And it's going to be an event with fireworks, food, and the arts. And it's supposed to be all about Ramadan. So I'm excited to go.
Ooh, Ramadan Kareem.
I'm definitely going to go.
Well, my friends have invited me, so I kind of really want to go now.
I love how he's saying,
pictures
I love how he's saying I really want to go, but he's not committing.
It's because I don't know about the weather. The weather's all over the place.
Just go.
Yeah, maybe, sure.
Take some pictures.
Take
It'll be
pictures
like
for
really
Urban
dark.
Definition.
Some fireworks shots. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Upload it.
He's going to take generic fireworks shots. Foodlicious, a new food truck festival, comes to Downsview Park this summer. Foodlicious is a new annual event that celebrates gourmet street food, bringing together some of the best food trucks that Toronto has to offer. This savory and sweet event runs at Downsview Park from June 10th to 11th. Along with delicious food and tasty treats, Foodlicious offers a beer garden and live entertainment stage with music and song to usher in the summer. In addition, the Kids Zone has all the entertainment needed to keep children amused, complete with a kiddie midway. Several of the popular food vendors at Foodlicious include Mustache Burger, Johnny Rocco's Pizza Wagon, Buster's Sea Cove, Ontario Corn Roasters, Pronto Pasta, and La Fiesta. Saturday, June 10th will be from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday, June 11th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. General admission is priced at $5.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about the tattoo thing? Since I have that down, but I know it's something you really wanted to talk about.
All right, go ahead and mention it, and then I'll add in the things that you missed, because I know you'll miss stuff.
For sure. It's the 19th annual Northern Ink Exposure from Friday to Sunday at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. And what it is a tattoo convention. You can get tattooed by world-renowned artists at one of the largest tattoo conventions in North America. Tickets can be bought at the Toronto Tattoo Show website, which is torontotattooshow.com.
All right, so what you missed there was you forgot to mention that there's going to be a lot of tattoo artists who are going to be pulling people from the crowds to do various tattoos, because at the end of each day there's going to be prizes given out to the tattoo artists, which means that more than likely, well, no doubtably, you're going to have the best of the best that Toronto and Canada has to offer for this tattoo convention. Shout out to Pepsi, who is my tattoo artist, who unfortunately cannot see me until August, which is why, if y'all follow me on Facebook, I sent a post out about that, because I need a tattoo artist before Pepsi becomes available.
So if you want to have a laugh this weekend, The Mummy is releasing this Friday.
Oh, no.
And apparently it's supposed to be Tom Cruise's worst movie of all time.
Sassan, what's Tom Cruise's worst movie?
War of the Worlds.
Now, please explain the backstory as to why, really in 10 seconds, as to the backstory as to how you came to this conclusion.
Because I actually thought he was in Signs.
And that was who?
Mel Gibson?
Oh, yeah.
All right, continue.
Okay, but it was just funny because I was hearing about it and I didn't know it was so bad, and I read critic reviews, and apparently people are it's a resounding thud, epic fail, and all sorts of stuff. So honestly, it's going to be hilarious. Just go watch it. It's apparently going to be just a monster movie as opposed to the original Mummy movie where it was really cool and cave exploration and.
I'm a huge fan of the original Brendan Fraser series.
I liked only the first one.
I was so mad when they changed. I love the first one. I love the second one.
I didn't like any
the
others.
third one, I was just please stay under my foot so I can continue to step on you for all eternity. The fact that they're reviving this franchise, I was really excited. I've seen some of the stuff. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for some of the graphics that they've kind of put in the movie. I'm really excited for some of the rotoscoping because it offers for a great opportunity to rotoscope, because I wish that the original was converted into 3D. However, I feel like the whole movie, whether it's good or bad, is going to get overshadowed by Wonder Woman.
It probably will be.
Because a lot of people were really on the fence about Wonder Woman, and when all the great reviews came out, now this weekend everybody's going to be let's just go check it out now.
It's a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes versus a 26%.
Yeah, it's crazy good.
Saturday is the Grilled Cheese Challenge at 2925 Lakeshore Boulevard West, Etobicoke, a.k.a. in New Toronto, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sign up as a challenger and bring your best grilled cheese to sell, eat, and then get judged on later. There are 3 top prize winners, and you can check out the website grilledcheesechallenge.ca for more information.
Georgia O'Keeffe retrospective at the Art Gallery of Ontario. The Art Gallery of Ontario presents a rare opportunity to experience the beautiful, innovative art of Georgia O'Keeffe, a trailblazing figure in American modernism. Making its only stop in North America, Georgia O'Keeffe features more than 80 works of art capturing the essence of her deeply personal connection to the landscape, architecture, and nature that inspired her iconic style.
If you don't plan on going out this weekend and maybe the weather's just going to be horrible, tomorrow is the start of Overwatch's 2x event. So if you want to go get skins and just play at home and have fun with your friends, why not just do that?
Can we just mention that Sassan just said, go get your skins?
That's what I was just about to say.
Skins are just like different outfits you can get in the game.
Skins?
Okay.
That's what they call them.
I heard something different by that connotation.
They call them skins in gaming. You should know this. You're apparently a gamer.
I'm a sports gamer.
Fine.
Skin color does not always
Sunday.
matter.
Sunday, AFEX 2017, the African Experience Festival, is a multi-themed event curating Black-inspired content in art, culture, music, dance, fashion, literature, film, food, sports, and others. Get tickets to this event at afex2017.eventbrite.ca, which is spelled AFEX2017.eventbrite.ca. And you can find out more information on their website at afexfestival.ca, which is afexfestival.ca. It's on Sunday it's a week long. It starts on Sunday from June 11th to the 17th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Melasman Square.
So tonight is Game 3 of the NBA Finals, so the game itself is scheduled to begin in about 3 minutes, which makes this a great transition because after you finish listening to Urban Definition, tune on in to Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
I kind of want the Cavaliers to win.
I do, and I'm not going to get into that with you because we tried to talk about this earlier and it didn't work out too well.
No, it didn't.
For those of you guys going out this weekend, have a fantastic weekend. Do not drink and drive because ain't nobody got time for that. It is probably going to be a good weekend. I think the weather's going to be great. We'll find out. But remember, live, love, learn. We're all students of life. Have a fantastic day. Peace out, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Sassan's like, yeah. Woohoo!
Urban Definition.